When people think about World War II air power, they usually picture bombers over Europe or fighters locked in dogfights. What often gets overlooked is the quiet work that made those missions possible in the first place. Reconnaissance aircraft were the eyes of the U.S. military, mapping enemy territory, tracking troop movements, spotting naval forces, and confirming whether bombing raids actually hit their targets. From slow, pre-war observation planes to fast, unarmed fighters flying deep into hostile airspace, the United States operated a surprisingly wide range of reconnaissance aircraft during the war. Each reflected a specific moment in the evolution of aerial intelligence. As we go through this inventory, consider this. Which of these aircraft do you think had the greatest impact, and are there any that don't get enough credit? Early war observation and Army cooperation aircraft, 1939–1942, Douglas O-38. Developed in the early 1930s, the Douglas O-38 was already nearing obsolescence by the time World War II began. It was a biplane with an open cockpit, limited speed, and minimal defensive capability, designed primarily for visual reconnaissance and artillery spotting. Although withdrawn from frontline service before U.S. entry into the war, it played an important transitional role by shaping early Army Air Corps observation doctrine and training crews who later moved to more advanced aircraft. Douglas O-46. The O-46 represented an attempt to modernize observation aircraft with enclosed cockpits and improved aerodynamics. Entering service in the late 1930s, it offered better visibility and slightly higher speed than earlier biplanes, but combat exercises revealed serious weaknesses. Its lack of maneuverability and vulnerability to ground fire led to its rapid withdrawal from combat roles once the war exposed the realities of modern air defense. North American O-47. The O-47 was larger, heavier, and more powerful than earlier observation aircraft, with excellent downward visibility for reconnaissance and mapping missions. However, its size worked against it. By 1941, it was clearly too slow and conspicuous for contested airspace. Most O-47s were reassigned to coastal patrols and training duties, illustrating how quickly reconnaissance requirements were changing. Curtiss O-52 Owl. Introduced just before U.S. entry into the war, the O-52 Owl suffered from unfortunate timing. Designed as a short-range observation platform, it lacked speed, armor, and defensive armament. Operational experience showed it could not survive near front lines, leading to its removal from combat units by 1942. Stinson O-49 L1. Vigilant. The Vigilant marked a shift toward versatility. With excellent short takeoff and landing performance, it could operate from rough forward airstrips, making it valuable for liaison and limited reconnaissance. While not suited for deep intelligence missions, it proved essential for early battlefield coordination, light liaison, and tactical recon aircraft. 1941–1945. Piper L-4. Grasshopper. The Piper L-4. Grasshopper became one of the most recognizable U.S. reconnaissance aircraft of the war, despite its simplicity. Based on a civilian light airplane, it was unarmed, slow, and highly vulnerable. But its true value lay in accessibility. The L-4 could land almost anywhere, allowing commanders to observe enemy positions firsthand, direct artillery fire, and relay real-time battlefield information. Its low operating cost and ease of maintenance made it indispensable across Europe and the Pacific. Stinson L-5 Sentinel. The L-5 Sentinel was a more robust evolution of the Liaison concept. With a stronger engine, better payload capacity, and improved reliability, it could carry radios, cameras, and medical evacuation equipment. Although still exposed to ground fire, the L-5's endurance and flexibility allowed it to perform extended reconnaissance patrols behind friendly lines, supporting advancing ground forces with timely intelligence. Taylorcraft L-2. The L-2 served primarily as a training and secondary reconnaissance aircraft. While similar in role to the L-4, it lacked the same production scale and logistical support. Even so, it contributed to tactical observation missions and helped standardize liaison aviation procedures across the Army Air Forces. Interstate L-6. Less common than its counterparts, the L-6 filled gaps in the expanding reconnaissance and liaison network. It offered comparable performance to other light aircraft and reinforced the idea that observation did not always require sophisticated technology but reliable platforms close to the battlefield. Piper L-5 Variants. Navalized and modified versions extended the reconnaissance concept into joint operations, highlighting the growing coordination between air and ground intelligence units late in the war. Fighter-based tactical recon aircraft, 1942-1945. F-4, Lightning. The F-4 was one of the earliest U.S. attempts to adapt a frontline fighter into a dedicated photographic reconnaissance platform. Based on the P-38 Lightning, it replaced armament with cameras, trading firepower for range and speed. Its twin-engine design allowed it to operate safely over long distances, making it suitable for early deep penetration reconnaissance missions where slower aircraft would not survive. F-5, Lightning. The F-5 became the most important American photo reconnaissance aircraft of the war, retaining the P-38's high speed, ceiling, and long range. It could fly unescorted over heavily defended territory and return with high-resolution imagery. F-5s operated extensively over Europe, North Africa, and the Pacific, providing intelligence that directly influenced bombing targets, amphibious landings, and operational planning. F-6, Mustang. The F-6 was the reconnaissance conversion of the P-51 Mustang, combining excellent speed with outstanding high-altitude performance. While it lacked the range of the F-5, its agility and reliability made it ideal for tactical reconnaissance ahead of advancing ground forces. F-6 aircraft played a crucial role during the later stages of the European campaign, photographing rail yards, bridges, and troop concentrations. F-6 Texan. Adapted from the T-6 trainer, the F-6 Texan filled a niche role in low-altitude tactical reconnaissance and training. Although limited in survivability, it allowed reconnaissance units to expand rapidly and provided valuable photographic coverage in less contested areas. Medium bomber reconnaissance conversions, 1942-1945. F-2, Mitchell. The F-2 was a reconnaissance conversion of the B-25 Mitchell medium bomber, adapted to carry multiple cameras in the nose and fuselage. By removing offensive armament and bomb racks, the aircraft gained extended range and endurance, making it suitable for long photographic sorties over enemy territory. F-2 aircraft were especially valuable in the Pacific, where vast distances demanded platforms that could remain airborne for hours while collecting intelligence on airfields, ports, and island defenses. F-10, Mitchell. The F-10 represented a further refinement of the B-25 reconnaissance concept. With improved camera installations and better navigation equipment, it allowed analysts to produce more accurate mapping and target assessments. Operating primarily in Europe, F-10s supported strategic bombing campaigns by verifying damage results and identifying new targets, reducing wasted sorties and improving bombing accuracy over time. F-7 Liberator. The F-7 was the photographic reconnaissance variant of the B-24 Liberator, offering significantly greater range and payload capacity than medium bomber conversions. Its long wingspan and fuel capacity allowed it to conduct deep reconnaissance missions far beyond the reach of fighter-based platforms. F-7s were often tasked with surveying enemy infrastructure, ship movements, and industrial regions, producing intelligence critical to long-term strategic planning. F-10 Liberator. Distinct from the Mitchell-based F-10, the Liberator F-10 was an earlier reconnaissance adaptation focused on mapping and coastal surveillance. While not as refined as later variants, it demonstrated the value of large airframes for carrying extensive camera arrays and specialized crews, paving the way for more advanced long-range reconnaissance aircraft. By the end of World War II, U.S. reconnaissance aviation had undergone a complete transformation. What began as slow, visually focused observation aircraft operating close to friendly lines evolved into a layered intelligence system spanning light liaison planes, fast fighter conversions, long-range bomber platforms, and high-altitude strategic reconnaissance aircraft. Each category filled a specific intelligence gap, from immediate battlefield awareness to deep strategic photography that shaped entire campaigns. Just as importantly, the war proved that reconnaissance was not a secondary task, but a force multiplier that directly influenced bombing accuracy, troop movement, naval operations, and overall strategic planning. The aircraft developed and adapted during this period laid the groundwork for post-war reconnaissance doctrine, influencing Cold War surveillance platforms and the rise of dedicated intelligence aviation. WWII made one lesson unmistakably clear. Control of the battlefield depended not only on firepower, but on who could see farther, faster, and more accurately than the enemy.